Scott. 6:02 called to order. I'm going to take the roll. Tony Knight. He said here. Chip Meehan.
Here.
Jesse Sanford.
Here.
Susan Schaubel.
Here.
Diana Nicole.
Here.
Chris Trent, are you on your way? Does he want to just yell here?
I'm here.
Well, you got to say it to them.
He's here. Chris Trent is here. I don't think Melanie's going to make it because she's with her dog at the dentist, and she's stressing out. Okay. This is going to be a short and sweet meeting. Oh, she's coming. Melanie just texted me. She's on her way. Okay, great. So let's just, I have to do this because it's a public meeting. Do we have any public comment within the committee jurisdiction on items not on the agenda? Seeing no hands
I'd like
raised.
to make a public comment.
Yes, yeah.
Tony, I got the privilege of walking by and seeing your front yard with all the yarrow and some narrow leaf milkweed. It was really a nice, pleasant break in the neighborhood to see that. It looks great. Thank you so much for doing that.
Oh, thanks a lot. Thanks.
And the rain chain and it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Brandon, you have your hand raised. I recognize.
Yeah, I want to ask, how into detail are you going to go with the LA Zoo Alternative 1.5 plan at the next sustainability meeting? I know you were there, and a few. I think Chip was there as well. Are you guys at the not this meeting, of course, but the next one? Are you guys going to go into detail as to your opinions about it?
I haven't put that on the agenda yet. I will take it under advisement. I don't know. There's a lot of people weighing in on it right now. And I was just at a meeting of CFAC, and they are, weighing in on it. And I think I might want to wait to see what they end up deciding, because they are much more the experts than we are. No,
No.
you want, well, I'll take it under advisement.
I don't know if that, but here's the thing. On September 1st, right, is the CFAC meeting. They are going to be voting on a letter to send to the council file, I think, but I'm not sure. And so I will get that to you, Adele. I would encourage folks to attend that meeting to make your opinions clear about whether or not you agree with the 1.5 alternate plan. And I will make myself available. LA Audubon, Adele, if you would share that letter with the committee, has a comment letter that we put out and just sent to CFAC today. And I will make myself available to answer any questions I can to the best of my ability. And if I can't answer them, I know I have a board member or two who can, and then I'm sure that friends of Griffith Park would also answer questions.
So maybe
Oh, she froze.
maybe Joanne can come and talk or something. We'll do something. So, okay. Any other comments?
Do you want to introduce Joanne?
Sure, I'd love to. Joanne D'Antonio is a CFAC rep for our district, for District 4.
Two.
I'm sorry, District 2. Well, we're both 2 and 4.
Catherine,
So,
you're 4.
and that CFAC stands for Community Forest Advisory Committee. And you want to talk a little bit about what you do?
We're a group of volunteers that started in the 90s that got together feeling that the city needed advice on tree policy. And the group has survived. Diana discovered that it existed, and she connected me with it. And I was a board member in the Valley Glen Neighborhood Council, Greater Valley Glen, and I got to know Paul Krikorian as a result, and I badgered him to become the CFAC rep for CD2. And it was pretty tough getting appointed. I was the alternate up until last week when I became the full rep. So as an alternate, I was very participatory. And I spent about 2 years going to CFAC meetings before I even applied to become a CFAC rep as an alternate. I actually applied to be a rep, and then they appointed Rachel Mallarich as the rep, and I was her alternate for a while. And then
I
they
think it's
appoint-
an important point that I don't think there was anybody that was at CFAC more than me than Joanne, or as much as I was there for all those years, going there voluntarily with not before you were even an alternate. So there was real dedication there, and I think CD2 saw that.
in the past CFAC, when there were different chairs before Shelley, they truly limited public comment to 2 minutes, and Diana and I were cut off repeatedly. And we just hung in there, and we kind of changed the weather vane, I would say, when we went there, and we encouraged Shelley, who was on the board of the NCSA and was the liaison to the Trees Committee. And after she started going after me, we encouraged her to become chair, and that's how that took place. So it's a very different organization than when Diana and I started going. It's become much more vocal, much more radicalized, and far fewer tree planting partners. It's become much more connected to challenging tree removals and really looking at policy.
Well, this is a great introduction to begin what we're discussing today, which is really the subject of this special meeting. And I'm going to just go ahead and read it, and then we'll open it up for discussion. The City of Los Angeles Community Forest Advisory Committee, CFAC, is an official bridge for communication about trees and the urban forest. CFAC connects dedicated residents, Los Angeles's elected officials, and many departments whose work affects our urban forests, such as Public Works, Water and Power, and Streets LA. The Studio City Neighborhood Council opposes the nomination of Leah Sararian to the CFAC board for the following reasons. A, Tree People has already nominated Jack Smith, a naturalist educator growing native plants for fire mitigations, that's a typo on my part, for fire mitigation to be on the board of CFAC. B, 2 representatives on CFAC from the same city tree planting partner organization limits the participation from other environmental tree groups such as Northeast Trees, A Cleaner Greener East LA, Amigos de los Rios, Angelinos for Trees, etc. C, we request that Council District 2 recruit a representative for CFAC who holds a degree or certification in arboriculture, environmental science, or a related field. D, it would be optimal if all new board members have volunteered time and/or attended CFAC meetings as a prerequisite to becoming a CD2 CFAC nominee. And then I attached Lisa Sararian's curriculum vitae, which you should have been able to read. But you'll see from her curriculum vitae that she is a mid-level urban planner with strong skills in project management and policy research dedicated to strengthening the communities of Los Angeles. And that she has been working for Tree People since September of 2021. And before that, she was in New York, and before that, she went to Columbia. So she's pretty young. Just saying, younger than me. Anyway, so I would like to open it up to comment and, if you want, try to keep your comments quick and to the point and about 2 minutes. I'm not going to time you. It's too ridiculous. So, but if you go too long, I'll beep you.
Point of
So-
order, is this a motion? Does it require a second?
Oh, sorry. Well, we're discussing whether we're gonna have a motion, right? This is a discussion and possible motion. So there is what could be a motion, and I think we should discuss it first and then decide if there's going to be a motion. So it's not a motion yet, it's a discussion for the floor. Thank you, Brandon. Would anyone like to start? Unmute yourself and go ahead. Brandon?
Yeah, question for Joanne. Does CFAC require a planner? Is there a reason for this nomination? Does this woman's, she is young, she doesn't have a lot of experience, but does her set of skills, is it something that CFAC is lacking? Or does it seem like this nomination is just kind of out of the blue and it makes no sense?
Well, there are planners and there are planners. We do not have someone who has worked in the city planning department, but she has not either. The city planning department is one of the areas where we sometimes have issues navigating, but interestingly, attending CFAC regularly is Marianne King, who is a retired city planning department person. And whenever tree removal comes up or a problem comes up that requires that expertise, she's always there for us. So that kind of contribution is really useful because it's sometimes complicated. But just a planning person, a lot of the young people today that come out of colleges with planning degrees really are not considering visions for cities beyond density and abundant housing, and they sort of come out with that philosophy. I've not seen anyone who is a recent graduate of planning really come up with ideas for creating greener cities. I mean, they beyond planting, there isn't a kind of nature-based vision coming from planning departments.
Well,
We
the
see it
planners
in-
are gonna focus on zoning rules and things like that, right? But
Exactly.
I wanted just to clarify, Brandon, your question. So Krikorian didn't pick this person. And people aren't lining up to be volunteers at CFAC. So it's pretty much tree people calling around to council offices, shopping around when they know that there's a alternate position that's vacant or a primary position that's vacant, and offering up their staff to take those positions, so that if there's any, I guess, concern that this is something that the council office reached out and asked for this particular person or any particular person at that organization, that's not the case here.
I've been asked more than once to recommend an alternate, and I haven't been able to find someone who is a resident of CD2 who wants to do it, or they have to work in CD2. This candidate doesn't live in the city of Los Angeles. She works in CD2. Is Tree People still in CD2?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, well, no, CD4 now, right?
Yeah.
Oh, so now she neither lives nor works in the
Good point.
council district.
But, I just to go back to kind of the little bit of a history, CFAC is much more participatory now than it was when we found it, because it was stacked with a couple of the tree planting partners. And it really wasn't a very positive experience for those of us of the public, and also, going there and the situation was a bit one-sided. But I think that in terms of what's missing from CFAC, is not necessarily more arborists. Certainly, I don't think planning is missing from CFAC. What's missing from CFAC is biologists and ecologists, an urban ecologist. In my mind, that would be the ideal person, because we need to look at it through the lens of an urban ecologist, which is what no one at the city is doing. And right now, I'm trying to do that by attending CFAC as much as possible, but it's definitely a missing, something that I would work to try and fill, especially in the area that we live in. Maybe, with the Santa Monica Mountains being our backdrop, I think that's important to have that special approach. And that only happens through the lens of somebody who has that kind of a background in ecology or biology, and also who understands our ecosystems here.
Interestingly, between Rachel Malrich being the CD2 rep and my being the CD2 rep, there was another rep, Eugene Chen, who worked at Tree People. She had a PhD in urban forestry. And I don't want to compare her participation to any other person's participation, because we're all individuals, and I wouldn't want to do that. But Eugene restricted her participation at CFAC to the hours that she was on the clock for Tree People. And I don't think we ever truly benefited from her PhD in urban forestry. She did do a few, she and I served together on the Dudek report that City Plants did. For 1 year, we met with all the heads of departments and council offices and so forth that had anything to do with trees. And we produced the first steps toward an urban forestry management plan. We were funded by CAL FIRE. I mean, I wasn't paid, I was a volunteer, but everybody else was on company time, and their divisions or departments got reimbursed for their time. But, Eugene had her qualities, but in terms of spending any extra time beyond what she was compensated for, it just wasn't there.
Chip?
Yeah, I mean, but we only have 24 minutes. So I just want to make sure we stay focused on the current piece that's here, although I appreciate the context. This is an HR issue. I've hired a lot of people in my career, and only 2 mistakes that I can think of at this point that still burn with me. I take hiring very seriously.
Wait, Chip, I have to interrupt. This is not hiring. This is a volunteer position. She's already working at Tree People. She already has a job.
Right, but we are preventing her from, we're hiring as a volunteer. I think we all take this as seriously as if we were getting compensated. So I think the fact that I've not met her makes me leery to give a thumbs down. I'm looking at our 4 points. I actually met Jack Smith, who we reference in point A. I met him at the Tree People Run Zev Yaroslavsky Greenway cleanup, which happens every other Thursday. So I met him 2 weeks ago and I was very impressed with him. He runs their nursery.
Mhm.
So he's actually the guy that's propagating plants and doing it. And he was running a narration on mission and responsibility and the natural world that was far more tied to natives than Tree People ever had been before. And Tree People had always, yeah, we appreciate the trees, but we really don't need a tree from South Africa here. That had been the rap against Tree People back from when Andy Lipka started it in the 80s. They seem to be much more contemporary in their focus. That being the case, I don't necessarily, particularly based on the comments of the group, that there's a narrow candidate pool. I don't mind having 2 potential CFAC reps from the same organization if that organization is Tree People and they're moving closer to my own predilection towards more natural plants. So they may be the powerhouse of contemporary thinking, and maybe we need more of them rather than less, unless we think there's going to be some sort of, jockeying for contracts, which I don't think we've actually attested. When we go to so my point about this other candidate and Jack runs the nursery. The other woman's name I forgot, I'm sorry, Alicia? Leah is on policy, so she doesn't report to Jack. There, as far as I can tell, they seem as if they're in very different departments within Tree People. And again, if Tree People is moving in the right direction, are we cutting our nose to spite our face if we're able to get the hands-on nursery skills of Jack and the policy skill of somebody who I believe has a master's from Columbia, who last I checked probably wouldn't have accepted me to go there. So I've got an issue with that. And what was the 4th point we had? The 3rd point was
Attending.
at point 3, looking at the credentials, I have no problem with that moving forward. And point D, optimal to have someone that's been through the meetings. I worry sometimes that we take our own seniority a little bit more seriously. And if someone that was imported from someplace else that had best practices that they could bring to us and help us accelerate the movement to where we need to go, I don't think the fact that we haven't seen them in meetings should preclude them either. So, so I'm leaning towards no on this, and for those reasons. I'm sorry, I'll yield to give other people time.
Melanie?
Thanks. I think Scott had his hand up before I did, though.
Okay, but you go ahead.
Okay, then. First of all, I'm just a little confused because Tree People is in CD4 now. And generally speaking, you either have to live or work in the district. And so Tree People employees don't work in the district. And I'm not sure if Jack or Leah live in the district or not.
Can I just say Jack lives in CD14 and he's going to be the rep of CD14.
Oh, fantastic. Okay. And Leah, does she live in CD?
She lives in Glendale.
Okay, so not in CD2. So
She doesn't live in
CD2,
LA.
so CD2 is going to fill a post from someone who's neither lives nor works in their district. That is confusing to me because that's pretty much, I don't know if it's written in mandatory terms or if it's just always been protocol, but that's pretty much always been the requirement. So I'm a little confused by that. Secondly, I'm really hesitant to name somebody in a motion opposing this if it's not, I mean, someone who's doing fine work is weird. If we want to set criteria, that's one thing. I don't think we need the fourth one. I'm fine with the first one. But I will say that I think I'm glad Jack is going to be on the committee. There need to be more men on the committee. Something I rarely say, but I think there need to be more men on the committee because, we need the gender translator. Folks who work in these departments in the city are guys. And they are, if they don't hear from a guy, they're not responsive. So, we need collaborators who are of their gender on CPAC. If we could, well, I don't think that's wise for us to stipulate that. That's just my side note. I think I don't know, I'm not super comfortable with item 1. I'm fine with item 3. I don't like item 4. That's it.
Okay, Scott?
Thank you, Adele. I'll be quick. My only question is Leah, is she officially nominated? And if so, can you put a link to her nomination in the motion somewhere? Because how do we know she's been nominated is my question. Thanks.
Can you answer that, Joanne?
Yes, I found out about it from Shelley Billick, the chair of CFAC, who was asked by CD2 council office to interview her. And then Shelley gave her reaction after the interview. I don't know if I'm supposed to say what a reaction is. I think not.
You are being recorded, Joanne.
Yeah. I just don't know if I'm, I've not been consulted. I have not met her. And I do know that it's run by the chair of CFAC before somebody gets appointed. So, and that's all I know.
I'm fine with kind of trying to navigate that question. But I just first want to address Chip. Chip, hi. I don't believe the Tree People is moving in the direction of natives. I think Tony could actually explain to us that as well. I think would maybe support that, but really what they're supporting is the city's planting list that we are all been advocating against, and this idea of climate ready trees, which are trees from places like Australia. Jack is unique at Tree People, and boy, I wish he was we could have had him here, but CD14 certainly needs him as well. And so he's unique. The situation is this, in some defense of Tree People, the city is dictating very much what the tree species are for the list. And since Tree People is a city tree planting partner, there's some politics there, and I don't know that it's advantageous for them to butt heads with the city on that. But they have definitely embraced the non-native tree palette and certainly been planting them. So to answer the other question, Scott, I do know that that Leah did not get a thumbs up, let's say, an enthusiastic thumbs up from the CFAC chair, for whatever that's worth. As far as there's something to link to, Joanne, I think eventually there's a council file, but that by the time there's a council file, it's too late, right?
You would send your letter probably to the council office.
Yeah.
Yeah. Excuse me, you guys, I got a call on Goat Puppet. Goat,
Oh, okay.
sorry.
The hell are you doing here?
It's good puppet as an assignment. He has to eat some brush right now. Man,
Go-
I have looked at this appointment And as you can see, you can buy any appointment you want, like on the Board of Neighborhood Commissioners. You have that campaign donor's daughter that's going to join it and doesn't know shit about anything on the commission. And this is again, like Lisa Karjakian, it's on the South Valley Area Planning Commission and really doesn't know shit about it either. But that's the problem. Our mayor is leaving us. He's trying to go to India so he can avoid process of service by the FBI later. But he's going to be stuck here with you and I. Notice the good vocabulary, not you and me, you and I. Something that Scott takes great care is vocabulary. So, do you oppose the nomination because this lady doesn't know shit, or because she's buying her way on? We live in the most corrupt city in the United States of American history. Even more than Scranton, Pennsylvania. We're more corrupt than them.
No, actually not.
Yes, I think we've gotten above Scranton. You can go on YouTube and look at their city council. Yes, they took away the guy's doorway one time when he spoke at one of their meetings in the snow. Thank God it doesn't snow, or Scott would never get out in the winter. So remember, the developers own everything. They own the prosecutors,
The judges.
the judges, thank you, whoever that was.
So
They,
could
they
you,
own the shit.
Mr. Goat, could you stick to the topic, please?
Well, it's bully bull. It's bully bull. I'm an award-winning empowerment advocate. See, I got my certification badge on.
So we're
I'm-
talking about this nomination. Can you give us any insight into that?
Well, I mean, I would like to stop it because I know that this person is full of shit, but I don't know how much I need. How much money do I need, and which plastic bag do I put it in, and which hand will get that plastic bag? That's really the question we need to be discussing here.
Okay, I think your
about
time, thank you
$3,000 or
so
$4,000.
much, Mr. Goat. Thank you.
To answer
you.
your question just a minute ago, you can actually go to the city clerk's website, put her name in search, and if she has a council file already, it'll come up. Because I put my name in and my council file comes up.
So so you're finished, Mr. Goat? You're finished. Do
You
we
know,
have
the city clerk's website where you get the council file numbers. Just
Okay.
put her name in and you'll see if she has one yet.
So I would like to, any other comments by anybody? I do. I did do some, investigating into this person. And I mean, it came to me, and I did find that people did not, I don't know how to say this, you know, I don't want to say, people had, you know, she's very young. She's
This
very,
is an HR issue. I don't know if it makes sense to characterize or profile someone.
yeah,
appropriately.
well, okay. Sh- How do, I don't know how to.
I think the issues are quite clear, which are that we're trying to keep the integrity by not having one organization overrepresented. I think that's really big. And
I think
that's
the
most
I think
important thing. And
the
then I really think that, I just will say this, I think Melanie, thank you so much for catching the fact that she's not living in CD, you know, she's not living or working in CD2 is important as well. I certainly know in the past that, you know, when we had other CFAC reps from tree people, and we wanted them, when I was, you know, sustainability committee back Lisa Cahan days, and we had invited them to come and, you know, to our meetings and that they didn't. At the time, those were in-person meetings, so I understand if they're living in Rachel's case, Long Beach, that was maybe too onerous. But we definitely didn't get the benefit of that participation that I think we deserve. Because listen, the urban forest issue is a major issue where it's pretty critical what's happening to our urban forest. And the loss of biodiversity. So I think it's important to have strong people in that position.
Okay, so we need to sort of work on the motion. If we want people were saying, don't put in the part about Jack Smith. Maybe put in part B about not having more than one representative on CFAC from tree people. I don't know. And then having the CFAC rep holding a scientific degree. And then you didn't like the idea that they should volunteer time before, but then maybe we also say that the representative should live in CD2. Or
Yeah, I would
work.
do a friendly amendment to get rid of number 1 and or A and D, and to add, something about, we understand that representatives from a district need to either live or work in the district. We want to ensure that a qualified person, or make it, wrap it into to be a qualified person who, meets these criteria and lives in the district, lives or works in the district. So that would be a CD2 recruit a representative for CFAC who lives or works in the district and holds a degree or certification of arboriculture, environmental science, or related field.
Mm-hmm.
So
nobody
just
on
B and C.
CFAC has that degree. I mean, you would be putting that as something that's missing on CFAC.
Yeah. So we're making the request to up the ante here and leave it to B and C with that.
I second those friendly amendments from Melanie.
Thanks.
Okay, so and you're saying take out number 1 and number D, A and D,
Yes.
and leave
And just add in recruit representative for CFAC who either lives or works in the district, comma, and holds a degree or certification.
okay.
That's it.
Okay. And then now as to the issue of Scott, I need to ask you as to the issue. Scott, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I have to jump off soon for public safety.
Yeah, you've got 20 minutes. What my question to you is some people were objecting to putting her name in there, but I think if you don't put the name in there, you don't know what you're talking about.
I don't think we have purview to talk about someone's human resource and in hiring record, whether it's a paid plan or not. And we don't have any official jurisdiction. We're talking about what somebody said to somebody. I mean, this is dangerous stuff. We should not go here. We can say
I concur.
residents, qualifications, done. And if you want to say that as much diversity as possible of advocacy groups, that's fine.
Yep.
As soon as you talk about someone in particular, you better be.
It's bad news.
Yes. And I believe there's legal implications.
It's very bad news. I think if you want to have a little opening so the board understands what we're saying by saying that the importance of, CFAC, the importance of urban forest and the role CFAC plays, and therefore, and then I would flip the two. I would start with what is currently C and then go on to B.
Yes, and
So
to Melanie's
we
point, if
actually
you
have
say,
sorry, we actually have an original motion when we first started talking about this that
Just short and sweet.
I kind of put together, and I felt along a little more on your in alignment with you, Chip, and so I didn't want to have a name. And then it was decided at that last meeting that we had to have a name. I don't know if you still have that previous motion, Adele.
But if we said that the crisis is upon us, we need new and powerful leadership. That leadership must live in the district, live or work in the district, and carry the qualifications required to perform within the role. But I mean, other than the residency, the rest of it's going to be seen as a duh to a hiring manager. But I also have concerns, the more we start putting parameters down, the more you're preventing inclusion and diversity.
And I'll just say there is precedent to have two people at the same time from Tree People on CFAC. So you're, just saying there is precedent. So I think I'm kind of agreeing with Chip there in terms of.
Well, Joanne, that was the current CFAC chair's position. So we were just supporting that.
Can we don't have a lot of time. Can we wordsmith this and get a thumbs up or thumbs down? And
So
time.
we're not going to oppose you don't want to oppose the go ahead, Scott.
Because I think it was Joanne who mentioned there's a council file, I would call up the council file, screen share it, read what the appointment says, and then possibly craft your motion. The board of the Studio City Neighborhood Council opposes the nomination of so-and-so to the position of so-and-so, and give a few reasons why or an alternative and make it short. Without the council file, I think a lot of the other points are far more valid about getting into the hiring aspect. So if there really is, we did one at the last board meeting for a Bureau of Neighborhood Commissioner appointment and linked to a council file, and we referenced the council file and said why we didn't think that person should be a bonk commissioner, and left it at that. If you wanted a model after that, or just whoever wants to screen share, call up that council file and read it, share it, see what it
I
says.
don't think she has one. I just put Leah, L-I-A, as a search, and it didn't come up with anything.
Oh,
So
Okay, so you just told us there was a council file.
no,
on
I
there.
just told you how to search one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I was surprised to hear that because I couldn't find a council file either.
I think
No,
you're gonna
I don't think she has one yet.
I think
Then-
we're gonna have trouble with the foundation of her being appointed. Like, well, we heard, or we know, or someone told us, or we suspect. But without the nomination being official, I mean, from my point of view, there's no nomination. But you're,
Yeah,
We can certainly recommend what the profile of the candidate would look like. And then if a candidate is brought forward that doesn't match that, we can then complain. But right now, we are painting a person that none of us have ever met based on something someone said to someone who's not in the room. This is really bad.
okay, Joanne, the reason we did this, just a little Joanne.
We don't have a
mentioned
lot of
that-
time. Can we?
Yeah, Joanne mentioned when by the time the council file comes up, it's too late. But I agree with whatever Chip said, and Tony's got his hand up.
You just need to send a letter to the council.
Tony?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I agree with Chip. I think that, but this is very uncomfortable. I think it's not the appropriate motion. I mentioned that last meeting, and that it might be more positive to figure out, at least for the future, we may not get in time for this particular appointment, but to, it would be appropriate for this committee, it seems, to make a list of, things that we would like to see in these future appointments, of criteria that we believe. I think living in the area would be a really great one, since it's a pretty big area. And, some expertise would be great without trying to necessarily skew a nomination, in a particular direction. I think it really is up to others, but we can comment about how what that person should, how they should be qualified. So I would say that this motion, I personally am not comfortable with it.
With my friendly amendments, are you okay, Tony?
No, I don't think we should be in this one. I really
So
don't.
my amendments addressed exactly what you were saying.
It says we oppose the nomination.
Oh,
No,
no.
no, it does not.
We changed that.
We changed that. We got rid of A and we got rid of D.
So let me,
It's
so let's
just
what?
B and C,
So,
and we
so-
add that we request that they, that they should live or work in the district, which is what city requirements are, as I understand them anyway, so.
So maybe, maybe Adele, you can reread the motion again before
I'm
we.
working on it.
Yeah.
So it'd be something like. Something like this, the Studio City neighborhood, oh, sorry. What is something, who's talking? Oh my God.
Tell them.
Okay. The Studio City Neighborhood Council supports CFAC appointments. Hey, Scott, where are you?
You can mute people,
I'm trying. I don't know where that person is. Okay. So Studio City Neighborhood Council supports that CFAC appointments, and then I have to get the language right. Recruit representatives for CFAC who hold a degree or certification in arboriculture, environmental science, or related field and live or work in CD2. And that, I don't know if you want to say this about that CFAC limit, I don't like that number, the seed tree planting partner organizations should be expanded to include other tree groups. I don't know how to say that. I'd have to sit and figure it out.
Can I just,
Yeah.
I think that the first thing you say sounds like you disagree with my appointment because I don't have those degrees. And so unless you preface it with something like what seems to be missing on CFAC, rather than, because they're going to read that and say, oh, they didn't like Joanne's appointment. I was just appointed again a couple of days ago. So it'll look like you're disagreeing with my appointment.
So to continue to build the strength of CFAC, new candidates should be residents of the district in which they will residence or work within the district and have degrees that would be additive to the skill set for the existing CFAC staff or volunteers.
Did you get that, Adele?
Maybe degrees and or experience, that'd be good too.
Yep.
Yep. Or have what kind of experience? Chip?
You already had a list.
No, I didn't mean, I meant other experience or have like, field experience in what? In tree, in conservation, or what are we going to call that?
Not just relevant experience.
Have,
Yeah.
Okay, relevant, because we're saying, Joanne, you have relevant experience, right?
Yes, and there may be some, and this is such a new field that we're talking about, to Joanne's point that she doesn't see people who are green urban
Right.
planners. It may not be taught yet. It may need to be someone who's actually doing it now
Right.
because a degree program doesn't yet exist.
Maybe you should say instead of degree of education.
Mhm.
Say
Education
that again.
experience.
Say that again.
Replace degree with education.
Who have education in?
Education and experience, maybe something like that.
In,
Thought it was going to be or.
no, I'm saying education in arboriculture, environmental science, or a related field, or have relevant experience.
That's okay.
Yeah. So, now what about this whole thing about tree planting, blah, blah, blah?
Chris has his hand up, Adele.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm looking at a screen. Chris?
Just so I'm clear, so what we're saying is that if somebody gets nominated for the position, there won't be time for the committees to weigh in on whether we agree with the nomination? Or disagree?
Yeah, that's what they're saying. That is what they're saying.
But there's not a file yet.
Right, so this is a weird, complex sort of thing because we're trying to, I guess, create some kind of standards, but there has to still be flexibility. There are people out there who have so much experience, they trump people's who have, deep education, for sure. So it's hard to build a set of rules unless we're doing that to give us flexibility for when we do have the ability to comment on something. Even if we create a set of rules, we're not going to have the ability to comment on how that person fits into the set of rules once they've been nominated, right?
So should we be looking at trying to get something put together that says we get to weigh in
That
on
seems
these nominations?
more appropriate, that if
Yeah.
the problem here is that we don't get to weigh in on a person who's nominated.
I think that's
your problem.
right. I'm inclined to think makes more sense under the
Again,
circumstances.
It looks like you didn't like my nomination.
Right, and we don't want to have that appear to be the case at all.
But it sure does look like it. I'm sorry.
But ideally,
My
we
neighborhood
would get to,
council supported my original nomination as alternate, but it once there was a council file, their support came in long after I was sworn in.
yeah.
I mean,
Well,
I'm going to
Then
have a
since-
hard
since-
time voting to approve, such subjective sort of rules and qualifications. And it really creates a document that doesn't have a lot of weight because it's already too late to compare a nominee to what's in the document that we support.
well, since the intent of this was to talk about this particular nominee because of the situation we're in,
Right.
I agree with you all, Tony, Chip, all this. It is a little uncomfortable, and we're put in this weird position to have responded this way. So maybe we don't do this right now, and we come up with something along the lines of a motion, and we can do this another day because now we're at the end of the meeting, and try and come a little more prepared with that in mind for the future, that we have some say in our CFAC rep, that be something that's more participatory.
So I move that we develop in between now and the next meeting, some kind of language that gives the neighborhood councils some sort of oversight is too strong, some sort of feedback, some sort of visibility into the candidates for CFAC, and that we develop some broad parameters for what we need the CFAC candidates to look like, because their mission has changed moving forward. So that's my motion, that we work on that language and pick up the topic again.
I would just add that because you're saying, I think we really want to make a motion that we can have a say, not just that we want to, we don't want to have a bunch of criteria that we can't, because you can never think of all the things, and then
Right.
there's the perfect
Well-
person walks along and they're brilliant, like Joanne D'Antonio. Did you hear how great she is at CFAC? And you might have had a whole list of categories that didn't include her, and she's wonderful.
On
So
paper, she doesn't look that great. But we had an experience. So I completely understand that. I think that the parameters we put in place could be our committee's parameters to say, and we can advertise those for transparency. We want to weigh in on this, and oh,
but
by
we
the
want to
way,
be able to weigh in after someone's
and these are
nominated.
these are the things
Period.
we're going to be looking at.
You
Yeah,
have
we
to look at the CFAC bylaws to see if there's any room for that, because I'm not sure if there is. I mean, there are bylaws. Diana has them. I've sent them to her. I can send them again, but
Yeah.
these are council appointments. And, just, I went to a fundraiser for Karen
You have
Bass.
2 minutes.
And
Yeah, I've
she
got to
said,
go to
Yeah,
open
we-
another meeting.
I want
Yeah,
you to
we-
be my tree person. So
We have
that's
2
like
minutes.
an appointment. Yeah.
Okay, let's make a, yeah.
I
let's-
move that we adjourn.
well, first we've got to pass, we move that we're gonna revisit this. I second Chip's motion.
There you go. All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nope.
Okay,
Okay.
all right,
I move that we
Aye.
adjourn.
Second adjournment.
okay.
All right, nice to see your faces, you all. Thanks.
Bye.
To-
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Tony, before you go, I need your phone number. I don't have it. And I need to work with you on the synthetic turf thing.
Oh, great. Sure. It's 818.
818.
We'll wait just a second. I'll give it to you.
You want to send, you can send it to me on
I'll
your
send it to you
email.
in an email.
Got it,
Okay.
got it.
Okay.
I'm writing it down, Tony. I'm gonna
I
start.
don't mind if you have it.
Calling you.
Bye.
Right.
I wanted to
All
give
right.
it to the FBI.
Okay, talk to you later.
Bye,
Bye.
puppet.
Bye, puppet.
Oh.
Bye. Thank you for everything.
Thank you so much. Yes.
Thank you.
Let's go talk to the cops now.